Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. So I always read comments on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. What bike is a good bike to start on as a new rider? And I'm going to tell you, not bike, there's a ton of bikes that are great bikes for new riders, but I'm going to tell you what bike I would have started on if I could do it all over again as a new rider. And I would probably start on a 300 Super Sport, because I started on a 1982 CB 650, which probably has slightly less speed, probably about maybe a little tad bit more horsepower, but definitely not as fast. Way heavier. I think the CB 650 was like, I swear it had to have been, over 500 pounds. 500 pounds for sure. So we'll just say 500 pounds. A 300 does not weigh that much. So I do wish I would have started on physically a smaller bike. I did get to learn a lot, and I realized really quick that sport bikes were more my thing, because every time I went in the twisties, man, it was just scraping pegs all the fucking time. Scraping pegs. Yeah, I didn't outgrow it as quick, thankfully, but still, an old 650 is basically the same power as a new 300. Don't let that shit fool you. They usually have more top end. The new 300s. They're lighter, they're smaller, they're sportier. They look cool as hell. They're not expensive. Insurance isn't brutal on them. It's a perfect bike for a new rider. And everybody knows the 300s, but I'm saying I would start on one because I started on a bigger bike, an older bike that was heavy, and I may have learned faster, being able to push a lighter, smaller bike over a heavy bike that had less room for air. And I think my second year of riding, or third year of riding, I can't remember, I think it was my third, is when I got in my accident. And I got in my accident on the CB 650. Maybe it was rider error due to misjudgment of having a heavier bike on being, not a super experienced rider. I don't know. I still think, it was a product of my environment at the time. It is what it is, but goddamn asshole, I thought that was a cop. So that's what I would say. I would probably lean towards more of the Ninja 300 or the R3. Maybe the Ninja 400 now, but they didn't have that when I started riding. I would definitely pick something like that up. Maybe like a Sport 500. You know what I mean? Like one of the CBR 500s or some shit. Something along those lines. Not an older bike. They're too heavy. The brakes aren't that great. There's not that much room for air. They're just old bikes. Newer bikes are way better. So I do wish I would have started on a newer motorcycle. And it was hard to find insurance companies that would insure a bike of that age. It was really hard. I've had to phone a lot of insurance companies because it was like a 30-year-old bike, or 32 years old at the time or something. My friend actually has the bike now. But that's really it. That's what I wish I could have, I could redo. I wish I could start on, not necessarily a lesser power bike, but a smaller bike. I felt it was just, it was a big bike for a new rider and stuff. Yeah, I was confident and all that, but I feel like I would have learned more faster in a shorter period of time on a bike that I could have, leaned over more and shit like that. Because for 2 years, I could only lean over as far as, my pegs would go, and it was just scraping. It's an eerie feeling for a new rider, is peg scraping. Because, bad shit could happen. You could hit a little rut in the ground, jumps your back tire. That's not me saying mid-control suck or anything. I'm just talking about being a new rider and, eventually pushing it, being older and heavier. There's a lot of factors that go into it. So I do wish I could do my license over again and start on a different bike. I wish I could start on a smaller sport bike rather than a 30-year-old naked. You know what I mean? Though it was a cool bike and I do want that bike back, I will not buy it off my friend. He offered to sell it back to me for $150. Fuck that. I told him, no, if you give it to me, I'll take it back. I doubt that's gonna happen. I highly doubt that'll happen. But it was worth a shot. I'd take it back for free. Come on now. I think it's got like 100,000 kilometers on it, or 110,000 kilometers on it. I put down a lot of kilometers on that bike. I probably did 30, 40 of them easily. I can't remember how long I had that bike for. 2 years, I think. I would have definitely had more fun. I would have definitely been happier on a cooler, small sports bike. Even if it was a newer naked sport, I probably would have enjoyed it a bit better. What's up, gentlemen? So that's basically the advice I can give to you, is don't start on too big of a bike. And not necessarily power wise, but think of weight wise. You don't want to start on a big, heavy bike that's hard to control with shit brakes just because you got a good deal on it. Because I do wish I could rewind time and get a better bike to start with. Not necessarily a bike like this, better, but I just mean like a better bike, a newer bike with better technology, better brakes. Those are my opinions. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. So think twice when you guys are buying a bike. Think about the age of the bike. That really does make a factor. You don't want too old of a bike. You don't want to, for your very first bike, you don't necessarily want a project bike. By that is, buy a bike, buy a second bike if you want a project bike. But you want to be, when you first start riding, you want to be riding, not fixing. You know what I mean? Ride, not wrench, boys. Save that for after. Save that for after. God knows how many people buy those cool little cafe racers, and then what? Then they don't fucking run for fucking half the goddamn year because they're so fucking old. They just look cool. Great second bike. As you guys have a good one. Take care. Be well, motherfuckers. The season in Canada is coming to an end real soon. There's quite a few things I got to get ready for this bike too for next year. So you guys have a good one. Take care. Peace.